We are just a few days away from the 2025 Winter Meetings, and Willson Contreras, like we thought maybe would happen here, is now more interested in a trade. We already talked plenty about Brendan Donovan being on the move, and that's a likely thing to happen here soon. Guys like Jojo Romero, Nolan Arenado. But the Willson Contreras thing, I think, is potentially the pendulum swing here from the Cardinals being an interesting rebuilding team next year to being a full-blown, not good rebuilding team. We're going to talk about the potential of Willson Contreras being dealt, what teams could be interested in what the Cardinals could get for him, and are we okay with the idea the Cardinals might just be really bad next year on this episode of Dealing the Cards. Hey, welcome back into Dealing the Cards. Josh, Andrew, and Sandy here. We're going to do a little bit of a winter meetings preview today, but more so focus on that Willson Contreras side of things. If this is your first time tuning in, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We go live multiple times a week over here on YouTube. If you're on audio platforms, subscribe, rate, and review helps us out a ton. We really appreciate the support as always. A bunch of you joined us for the live chat today, so we're already having fun with that. Willson Contreras, right? At the end of the regular season, made it pretty clear he wants to stay in St. Louis. But I think all three of us are kind of like, will he once they move some guys? And then it's after a week or so after Sonny Gray was traded, we get that report from Katie Woo, which ripped Katie Woo moving to LA. So that's sad for Cardinal fans, but she will be on her charity live stream next week or in a few weeks. So that'll be fun. She's going out to LA, but she did report that Willson Contreras is more open to a trade now. So I think it's probably more in the vein of Nolan Arenado last offseason, where he's like, hey, I've got teams I'd be interested in going to, but if it's not one of those teams and there's not a compelling offer, I'm going to stay in St. Louis. But definitely something that's on the table now. And you look at this trade market right now, you could say there's like 6-7 teams.
Kids are going to be so disappointed in me for not making a 6-7 joke.
Wait,
Hein Bloom.
That was terrible. We're moving on.
What?
I've only used that clip for so long.
Okay.
Hein Bloom, 6'7". What a time. Anyways. Okay. But seriously, I think there will be a decent amount of teams that are interested in acquiring Willson Contreras, especially with this potential lockout looming, where you can go after a Pete Alonso bat, which again, in a vacuum, Pete Alonso, better player Willson Contreras. No one's going to argue that. But you want to give that guy I didn't mean to do it, but 6-7 years and a ton of money AAV, or do you want to give Willson Contreras $18 million a year for the next 3 years? Willson's your guy. Value-wise, bat-wise, he's top 25 bat in all of baseball since signing with the Cardinals. You like that kind of production. But I do want to ask you guys this before we even kind of go into the types of teams that could be interested in Contreras and what kind of return they could get. I think we could probably argue if they move Contreras, and we already are assuming they'll move Arenado and Donovan, that this goes from the team's not going to be like, we're not going to predict them to make the playoffs next year, but they could be interesting rebuilding to, this team's probably going to finish 5th in NL Central and is not going to be a good team. Are you guys okay with the idea that, again, you're getting value back for Contreras? I think we all agree that. We'll talk about it. But do you think it makes sense for the Cardinals to bottom out this much? Or do you think losing that competitive edge and veteran presence from Willson Contreras would be too much of a hit? Sandy, what's your thoughts?
Well, they're going to be terrible if they trade Contreras, I think. And I just wonder how the Cardinals fan base is going to respond. And I wonder, I think we said an underrated piece of the end of the Mo regime was that he stuck out some bad years to equip Heim to be able to contend right away. And that's clearly not the case now. I just wonder, how do fans feel about this, right? They're probably, Ollie's going to be back again. How does this affect his legacy? If the Cardinals go out next year and lose 100 games, he's definitely gone. I think if that happens.
Well, they've been having extension talks with him, so he might be safe.
That'd be so good. But I just think, man, Cardinals fans this sounds mean, but in some ways, I've been a little disappointed by the fan response over the last few years. I'm not telling people how to spend your money, but support the team, right? I do wonder how this would affect Cardinals fans. I think there's a chance you see people get so fed up, and when they're fed up for this long, it's going to be really hard to regrow that fan base. Every year you spend not contending, not being interesting, every year you spend, and it's worse the worse you are, right? So if the Cardinals are truly awful next year and maybe the year after too, now I think it becomes really hard to get back to where you were in the 2010s, where you're selling out Busch Stadium 80 times a year. It just could be really tough. But, there's a comment right here that says, just rip the Band-Aid off. Just rip the Band-Aid off and let's get on with it. The sooner we do this, the sooner we get back to contending. I think I agree with that in a vacuum. but I wonder how most casual, not quite as plugged in Cardinals fans will feel.
Well, I mean, we've got the reporting that's been pretty vocal for a little bit now, too. The Cardinals have officially moved from one of the middle teams where they didn't pay into the revenue sharing, but they didn't receive revenue sharing, to now they're officially a revenue sharing team. And now they don't receive as much revenue as other teams, but basically big picture is they don't turn the revenue and profit they used to now. And so, like, again, no one feels bad for the DeWitts and no one should be like crying poor for them, but it's clear they have made, like, they aren't just lying and people are like, oh, they aren't making money. I mean, clearly the stadium's been empty. The TV deal has been weird. COVID, there's so many different competing factors, and again, most of all, the team isn't good. And to your point, Sandy, it'll be interesting to see, like, does this spiral into something that they never thought could happen if they get too bad? I would assume that Cardinal fans will see if there's a young core building up, and actually there's a parallel I want to use with the team that none of us really like to talk about, but there's a parallel that I think is real, what they're trying to do here. Andrew, do you think moving Contreras would be a bad idea?
No, not really. I mean, he only has a couple years left on his deal. It's kind of expensive too, and you're cutting payroll significantly again by moving him. And I don't see how, I don't think trading Contreras was necessarily in the plans, but I don't see how that money can't be reinvested into something good as well, right? Like you open up first base for Burleson. Maybe that gives you room to sign an outfielder to help out. And maybe he ends up being better than you would have thought. And, the Cardinals, I don't think, are going to just hold on to that money, and they're going to get something back for Contreras as well. They could go out and sign somebody that's maybe more either somebody that you could also flip at the trade deadline if things really bottom out, or somebody that, is a little bit younger and you could build around in terms of long-term future. I'm not saying they're going to go out and like sign Kyle Tucker or something, but I could see them going out and getting somebody a little bit more younger, a little bit more intriguing and a little bit younger than Contreras with some of that money in terms of the offensive side. I know they're going to add some pitching as well. So like, I think they need to subtract from the roster before they add to it. I think that's going to happen definitely first, right? Because they're not going to hold on to all of these guys and then sign somebody. And then guess what? Nolan Arenado has no trade destinations and they have to hold him, and then their payroll is higher like that. I think they have to make those moves first before that happens. And they've moved Sonny Gray. They're going to probably move Arenado in the next month or so. Contreras maybe as well. And yeah, like I think some fans might see that as like they're just cutting their best players, but if anyone has watched these guys, like Contreras is the one that I would be like, yeah, that would hurt. But like Sonny Gray was really good. He anchored your rotation last year, but he wasn't that good, right? Like he wasn't the kind of pitcher that you pay that much money to. And I don't know if he's necessarily a household name in St. Louis. Nolan Arenado is a household name in St. Louis because he had those 2 great years. And now, I mean, if you think the Cardinals should hold on to Nolan Arenado after watching the last 2-3 years of him playing for the Cardinals, you probably haven't been watching the last 2-3 years of him playing for the Cardinals, right? Like you're probably not as tapped in, and like it's not going to really hurt the product on the field if he's not there every day. Like I don't think that's something that would be a huge like loss for the team, and then you can go reinvest that money. And you're bringing in prospects. So I don't think this team is going to be horrible next year, depending on who they bring in, right? Like Contreras could be bad next year. Like who knows, right? Like that, I don't think so, but there's a chance that he is getting up there in age and he's not going to be nearly as good as he was this year. That's possible. But like you can go out and use that money to get something else, right? For sure.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think if they hold on to Contreras, totally cool with that. But if there's the right offer out there and I think they're going to get really good value. We'll talk about in a minute. But I think Contreras is a very positive trade asset in this market and can really help this rebuild. And so for your timeline, trading him makes sense. And I think it opens up first base for Alec Burleson, assuming you're holding on to Newbar, then the corners for Newbar and Walker are open, which again, I'm not saying either guy's going to be awesome, but you give the opportunities for them to figure it out. You could fit Gorman in easily then, assuming he's going to still be around. Obviously, JJ Weatherholt will play every day. I think it gets the bats in that you need to get in. And so all around, I think it's probably a helpful thing. And I wouldn't reinvest into the lineup at that point and let those young bats play. Because at some point you're gonna have Joshua Baez come up. You're probably want to make some at bats for Jimmy Crooks at some point too. Like, I'm not saying these guys are stars, but you got to figure out they're valuable contributors or not. But I do see a lot of parallels between. Well, first of all, I wasn't going to bring up this one, but think about Boston and Heim Bloom. Like, when Heim Bloom came in, he had traded away Mookie Betts. Guess who hated Heim Bloom and didn't understand what they're doing? And we still don't understand why they traded Mookie Betts, right? But Red Sox fans. And they traded Devers mid-year. And guess what? They were really upset about it. But you know who packed Fenway Park when Roman Anthony came up and was awesome? Red Sox fans. And so I think in the immediate future, will the casual fan understand it? Probably not. And will they be like, why are you trading Nato? He's a Hall of Famer. It's like, well, he's bad. Why are you trading Sonny Gray? Well, because you're rebuilding. Well, sure, we're rebuilding. But like, if JJ Weatherholt comes up and is awesome, and right now Rodriguez is awesome, and Liam Doyle is awesome, and then they supplement the roster, like, I think people will have a short memory on that, and they'll come back to the ballpark, and it'll be fun. It might not hit the heights it used to hit, but I wouldn't necessarily. I think the only way this goes poorly is if you go down this route and it doesn't work, and then you're still rebuilding, and you're still rebuilding.
Well, then you turn into like the White Sox.
Yeah, which I still don't think you'd get to that point, but I think that's where I think you could hit the point of no return where you're truly not going to recapture St. Louis like you used to have it. But I think that's if Heim Bloom fails. And I think we're under the impression Heim Bloom's going to do a good job, and doesn't mean he's going to win a World Series, but I think he's going to turn this around, which makes me think, I think you have to take the short-term hits here, knowing that I think this is the only path forward to potentially actually getting back to where you used to be. If you kind of try to half do it, where you're trying to keep interest in the immediate future, I think it's going to feel better in the immediate future, but long-term, you're going to keep digging yourself a hole that they did in 2023, 2024, 2025. Like, we could argue, even though I think in the moment, all of us are probably like, don't trade Goldschmidt, don't trade Arenado. You could be better in 2024. You know what they should have done in 2023? They should have traded Arenado and Goldschmidt. They should have hit the reset button and gone full rebuild, but they didn't. And that's part of why we're still talking about the beginning of a rebuild in 2026 rather than they're turning a corner. And so I think you got to rip those Band-Aids off now. Donovan, again, that's where I'm like, I get trading him if you get an awesome offer, but he's young. I do think there's an argument for him to be part of the score. But when it comes to Contreras and Gray and Nato, you make those moves. The parallel that I've seen, and I've heard that the Cardinals kind of see as well, is like the Chicago Cubs in the early 2010s, where they liquidated that roster. They built it up with Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Willson Contreras, all these guys. And right when those guys started to be good, they went and signed John Lester, they signed Jason Hayward, they signed John Lackey, they made big trades, they traded for Ben Zobrist, and they won a World Series. I think that's kind of what the Cardinals are looking for here, is what are their internal pillars that they built, whether it's Herrera and Weatherholt, Rynell, Doyle. Like, once they have enough of those guys, then they'll feel confident going into free agency and spending money, because they're not trying to spend to fix the whole thing. They're like, here's the pillars we have. We can add one more pillar, and we can add the framework in other places and go do it. But that's not this offseason. It's probably not next offseason, but in the future. So I think trading Willson Contreras now makes a ton of sense, and I would do it. But Sandy, I appreciate your thoughts on that. And I think you're right. Like, I think the casual fan probably doesn't understand it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you think about, you go to a Cardinals game next year, how many people are you going to see wearing jerseys of players on the team?
Honestly, JJ Weatherholt might be the high-selling jersey next year,
which is crazy. I just think, like, I think it's not a critique of most Cardinals fans, and I think most Cardinals fans that are listening to a podcast like ours are very plugged in, right?
Yeah.
You're spending time to consume media about the sport on your off time. But the average Cardinals fan, that's who sells tickets. You know, like, it'd be great if we had hundreds of thousands of bought in diehard fans in St. Louis, but it's a smaller market, and that's just not how things work. Casuals buy tickets, casuals buy jerseys, casuals buy gear. And that's why I'm just concerned. It's like, man, the Cardinals are losing an advantage that they've had for a really long time, which is that they punch above their weight in terms of revenue generated. You know, they've always sold so many tickets. They've had extra money to play with because of it. And that's been a great thing for them. And losing that, I mean, you've already lost it, but potentially losing it worse.
Cardinals made a roster move.
Oh,
yeah, they did. They claimed right-handed pitcher Zach Kent off the Cleveland Guardians. Look, Rob Cerfolio go.
Great. That's exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, man, that's going to be the highest selling jersey next year.
Zach
but I just
Kent.
think you're gonna see, like, you come back to Busch next year, and I just guarantee you're gonna see so many Arenado jerseys still. You're still gonna see your fair share of Donovan and Contreras jerseys. And it's just like, man, who is there even to, like, be excited about? For us, obviously, it's JJ Weatherholt. You know, there's plenty of young arms that we're excited, and we're tracking their progress through the minor leagues. But I I don't know if it works the same way for a lot of casual fans, and that scares me. Again, not a critique, just a reality. And I think if you lose, but at the same time, like St. Louisans do things. That's a thing that our city prides itself on. But still, it's just if you lose the casual fan base the way that I think they could, and also the grass isn't necessarily greener after a rebuild. There are teams that just rebuild forever because it's really hard to rebuild successfully. And there are more horror stories, I think, than, great stories. But yeah, I mean, I think in a vacuum, it probably makes sense to trade Contreras. I just am scared of seeing the team lose 100 games.
Yeah,
I experience all their city connects because they like I think I mentioned going to the ballpark. You look at the city connects that they're selling, and I've always wanted to get one. I think they're really nice, but they're all Arenado, Contreras, Walker, and Gorman and Nootbaar, and it's like,
why is Wynn not available?
I think he will be soon.
He has to be.
Yeah. I mean, not soon, as in I think this year he clearly will be. But I mean, again, part of it I think is because they're probably trying to get rid of the stock they had when it comes to these other guys. We're just like, I don't know why Miles Michaelis was getting him in the first place, but
I will take a Walker jersey for $20 if they want to sell it to me. But
that's I could just take the stuff off the back and then have a
yeah. So
that'd be sweet.
Before transitioning the Contreras teams and what his value would be, Sandy, I think you think they're potentially going to be worse than I think Andrew and I think. At least, okay, I think it's possible they lose over 100.
For me too.
Like if they move Contreras, I think it's possible to lose over 100 games. I would not bet on that by any means, but I think it's in the range of outcomes. But I would guess probably more your mid-70s win team, which again, you're splitting hairs there at that point. But
wait, so you think they're going to be better than they were in 2023?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, the pitching was so bad that year.
It was horrible, but like, is it going to be that much better next year?
I think there's a lot of outcomes. I mean, their bullpen, I think it's better.
It's going to be in our rotation.
Yeah, Richard Fitz is fine. He's better than Dakota Hudson was. He's better than, honestly, I would take him over than Jack Flaherty that year. Like, he's better than Adam Wainwright was that year. Like, the black hole that was that fifth starter spot last year. Again, there's worlds where this goes terribly. I'm not saying it's going to go well, but I mean, I don't know. I think I'd say like 73, 74 wins right now is where I put him at.
And there's still time for them to make additions and stuff. And I hope they do that. But I don't see them winning 70 games if they don't make additions, especially because like we're not even thinking about injuries that could occur, right? Like Ivan Herrera hasn't played a full season yet. What does this lineup that's already potentially horrible look like if you're now down Ivan Herrera for 9 weeks?
Yeah, not great.
It's bad.
What does it look like when Jordan Walker learns how to put the ball in play and see what happens?
Also, only two teams.
And I'm so tired of watching the Cardinals throw a terrible offensive product out there, and they've done it almost every year.
I mean, it was like mediocre this year. It was not bad.
It was
it was middle of the pack, or like slightly under middle of the pack. Also, the only two teams that lost 100 games last year. The White Sox lost 102. It's like they barely lost 100 games, and then you have the dumb Rockies. You lost 119. Like the Nationals came close at 96, but I think it's really hard not to win 70 games. You have to be, obviously, I think it's a range of outcomes, right? Injuries happen and guys don't perform. Yes, it's possible, but I definitely want to be like they're booked not to win 70 games. That to me sounds that's aggressive to me, but we'll see.
I don't know. I think this was also a strange year where you didn't have as many 100-loss teams as you've had in the last 5 years. It feels like there have been 4 or 5 sometimes. And I just think there's every chance the Cardinals are a bottom 5 team in baseball next year.
Yeah, you could be a bottom 5 team and not lose 100 games.
True. And it depends what the top of the league looks like. It depends how the Central looks. Like if the Brewers go out and almost win 100 games again, that's a lot of losses stacking up against Milwaukee. Probably a lot of losses stacking up against Chicago. Depends if these other teams, like is Pittsburgh going to get better? Yeah,
we'll see. I don't think it's that crazy of a bounce back, a fall off, but we'll see. So let's thank a couple of our sponsors of our podcast, and then we'll move into some Contreras talk, maybe some potential teams and what we think return-wise they could do here. But as always, we want to thank 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles, the presenting sponsor of the Deal in the Cards podcast. They're located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. Open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They have the new selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. You got to check them out. We'll be there on December 16th for the charity live stream from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Bernie Miklasz will be joining us in person. Katie Wu, Derek Gould. Obviously, Brendan Donovan will be joining us at the beginning of the night. I think Trevor Rosenthal's in for that as well. And we do have I'm really hoping we could lock in this other guest here soon. I get to share with you guys because it'd be stinking awesome if he joins us, but we'll see. But yeah, it should be a super fun night. So make sure you tune in for the charity stream, but most of all, make sure you check out 314 because they do some awesome work. And speaking of Brendan Donovan, I want to tell you about one of our newest sponsors of the podcast, and that's True North Gloves. They're the official headband of Brendan Donovan. They make all these sweet headband designs. You've probably seen him wear in game. Like this is, I'm not even showing it very well right now. The St. Louis flag one. They have all different kinds of designs that are Brendan Donovan themed. They have America themed, Vinny Pasquantino, all the different kinds of things. They make batting gloves, pickleball gloves, hats, headbands, all different kinds of fun products. Some of you have already shopped there already since they become our sponsor, and it sounds like you guys having a good time with that. Make sure you check out truenorthgloves.com for their products. If you use our code TrueNorth25, you'll get 25% off your order when you purchase through them. So make sure you go check that out. They're awesome. Again, they are the official headband of Brendan Donovan, and they make headbands, batting gloves, golf gloves, pickleball gloves, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you check out True North Gloves. It's a local St. Louis business, support local. They do great stuff. So, Willson Contreras. I mean, do you guys also think he would be a valuable trade chip, like 23rd in baseball and WRC plus since coming over to the Cardinals? And this 129 ranked against first baseman. He's only behind Freddie Freeman, Vlad, Yandy Diaz, Bryce Harper, and Matt Olson in WRC plus. Like he's ahead of Pete Alonso in that stretch. He's sixth among all first basemen. Clearly showed he can make that transition defensively this past year as a positive defender at first base in his first year. You would think he gets a little bit better there. I think his bat will continue to contribute. And again, he's not making crazy money. He's making $18 million a year. If he was to hit the open market right now, you're probably looking at mid $20 million a year bat on a 1 year deal. And then over years, I think you're at least 18. And so you're not talking about Gray where he was getting paid $35 million this year. He's probably more $25 million arm at that point, 30 maybe on a 1 year deal. Cardinals even eat a little money here. I think you're getting something legit in return. And then you look at the potential bats you can add right now. It's like you either pay a mega long-term deal or it's like a lot of uncertainty with a guy. And so to get like that level of bat and not a super long-term commitment and not a lot of dollars, it's hard to find something like that. You get the competitive advantage that Willson Contreras brings you. Honestly, if you need a catcher, he could probably still get behind the plate if you want him to, but you're probably looking at him as more of a first baseman DH type. Do you guys think there's going to be a market out there for him?
Should be. He was awesome last year. If you look at Baseball Savant, he's got red all over his card. You know, he finished in the 87th percentile last year in terms of expected weighted on base average. Still has, 95th percentile bat speed. He can rip it. And he was great in the field last year. I think that was a super underrated aspect of his game. He was one of the best defensive firstmen in all of baseball. And he did that with pretty much 1 year or one offseason to prepare. So it was awesome to see him translate or to see his game translate from behind the plate to first base. Yeah, I think he's a super valuable asset. Now, in terms of like how much the Cardinals want to save on it, right? If the Cardinals pay down no money, I think you get some stuff for sure, but I don't think you get like the haul that they could get. So I hope the Cardinals pay down as much as they can, and then they're able to bring back everything. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of bats on the market. I would see it'd be interesting if some team is interested in him as a catcher. I don't know if that's going to continue. Like he had some really weird injury stuff here. And also the Cardinals are trying to give room to Herrera. Like I wouldn't be shocked if some team put him back behind the plate. But even as a first baseman, I think there's a lot to like about the profile. And I really like Contreras. I really like having him around. I think he's fun. I like his attitude a lot of times with especially some of the NL Central rivals. But,
Just going to miss him.
Definitely be – yeah. I mean, he's probably – other than like Brendan Donovan, who we expect won't be on the team next year, probably one of my favorite guys to watch. But, at this point, just let him go and win something again. So that the only World Series on his resume isn't, the one with the Cubs. That would be nice. And then B, like you can get a lot for him, and he doesn't necessarily fit the timeline of the Cardinals. I think given what I've heard from reporters like Jeff Jones, it seems like the trade thing to me was more like I don't want the Cardinals to just dump me after this experiment didn't work and I couldn't replace Yachty behind the plate. But now it seems like that's not what they're doing. They're trading him because he actually has value, not because they want to move off of him.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably part of the reason why he's more open to go. And once I heard that from Jeff, to be honest, I was pretty pretty much expecting something like this to happen at some point during the offseason, and here we are. So it's not really shocking to me to hear that, but yeah, just let him go play for another team. I don't think he would have, a location preference like Sonny Gray. Maybe he does. Maybe there are teams that he prefers more location wise, but I feel like if he could go to a contender wants him, that would be pretty exciting for both the team that is getting him and then the return package for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and again, when I say they could get a lot for him, I think you guys agree. I think it's similar to Sonny Gray, where it's like now what like the surprise that I had where they got a controllable big league starter plus a high upside arm is kind of what I think you could do similarly in a Willson Contreras deal. Maybe a little bit less, maybe around the same kind of stuff, but maybe a big league arm or a couple prospects that have a lot of intrigue in a way that I just didn't really think was going to be shelled out for a guy like Sonny Gray on his kind of contract. Again, teams are looking at this on value. I do think the first base side of things hurts Contreras a little bit because traditionally you don't see a lot get traded for first baseman. But again, considering you stay in the market, not a lot of bats, I think he's a guy that teams to be interested in. I want to rattle off a few teams for you guys to give quick context, see if any of them stick out to you or if you guys have any teams as well. I think New York Mets obviously could be a good fit because of the fact you're going to be losing Pete Alonso. So add him to Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor. They've got a great pitching staff. Honestly, they could do something like this and then use some of their young bats and also some of their starters to go get that Tarek Skubal deal done that it seems like they really want to do. I can see the Mets being uber aggressive after missing the playoffs. Seattle Mariners, I know they just re-signed Josh Naylor, but their DH spot is horrific. So you can add a big bat like that. And we know championship windows can close fast. So instead of having to go trade a bunch of stuff for Brendan Donovan, they could trade less to go get a Willson Contreras type bat. Milwaukee Brewers, Andrew, I think you brought up a good point. Like, I honestly could see him wanting to play with his brother because the big thing with this, you have to convince him to leave. You have to convince him to waive that no trade clause. So he's not going to go to X team just because the Cardinals want to trade him there. He's got to be somewhere he wants to go. Would he want to play with his brother? Maybe. And I could totally see why the Brewers would want to acquire a bat like that. Detroit Tigers, again, they're very left-handed dominant, and I know they spent for Torkelson, but again, they could DH one of those guys, whether it's Contreras or Torkelson. Boston Red Sox, again, I think they're a team where Tristan Casas is coming back, but again, they're pretty heavy on left-handed bats. They've been aggressive in the trade market so far. Could they use Casas and other stuff to go after a high upside arm again and go get Willson Contreras to replace that? Baltimore, I saw was thrown in the chat. I think that's kind of interesting. Their first base spot's really tough right now. Could he be interested in going there? I don't know. But did any of those teams stick out to you, or are there other teams you would throw into the mix? Is like, I could see Willson wanting to go to the Yankees, even though I mean, they've got first base pretty figured out right now with Ben Rice. But like, is there another team that comes out to you, or do one of those stick out to you?
I like the Brewers a lot. Like, I think the fit is definitely there. I think he would want to play with his brother. It would also be fun to see them take down the Cubs again. That would be fun. Yeah. Celebration. But, also trading within division might get you a better return. I know the Brewers are smart. They also don't really want to add payroll, which is kind of weird because you would think that with the playoff run they just had, they would have a lot more revenue to work with. But I guess their owner really is terrible and really doesn't want to reinvest. So that could be an issue, but if you eat some money on the Contreras deal, I could definitely see a situation happening where, that maybe they give you something back that you weren't expecting. And, the Brewers have a good system, they have a lot of guys that I think the Cardinals would be interested in. They've been really good at developing those kinds of arms that Bloom would be looking at. And, if the Cardinals want to become the Brewers one day, but the Brewers with money, a little bit more money, not too much money, I guess, kind of, whatever. DeWitt's still cry poor, but
it is a difference. It's pretty significant
for sure. But I definitely think that could be a good place to go and get stuff that you want. Right. I think that would definitely work well. Plus, at this point, I'm on the Brewers train because if the Cardinals are going to be terrible, at least they will win the division and not the Cubs. So there you go.
Fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think they make a lot of sense. I just don't want to see Willson get traded. I just love him. I think he's probably my favorite. I know I love Donovan. I go back and forth on who my favorite player on the team is, but on any given day, it might be
not John King anymore. Oh, too soon. Sorry.
Yeah, it's way too soon. But on any given day, it might be Contreras, man. He just is so like his love for the organization, for the team. Like he sticks up for them. I love that about him. Sure, sometimes he gets a little too fiery and throws a bat at somebody. That's not great. But 99% of the time, I'm all in on Willson Contreras. So whoever gets him is going to be getting an absolute winner. Yeah, man. I don't know. I just don't want to see him get traded. I think the Brewers make a lot of sense. It would just hurt to see him in a Brewers uniform. Yeah, it'd be cool for him to play with his brother, and I think that would instantly make the Brewers the favorite in the division as well again next year if they're not already. I just also wonder, like, how much do you think they're getting back for Contreras? I mean, we can talk package. Well, it's gonna be hard to talk packages, but what kind of like theoretical package would you send back?
I mean, again, instead of picking names specifically, I would just go with kind of what we saw from the Sonny Gray side of things, where they got, again, it doesn't have to be this blueprint of a MLB arm plus a high upside prospect, but I think you can get equivalent value of what Richard Fitz and Brandon Clark could have been for you.
Well, I hope so.
But I think that's more than people would have thought going into the offseason because, again, he does make a lot of money. It's a first baseman. He's older, and he doesn't make a lot of money in terms of he's overpaid.
Like, what if they could just pay down a year, pay down this year?
Yeah, I mean, if some of this dude's interest, right? Like, just because you want to pay it down doesn't mean a team would want to give up more. Like, they might be like, we'd rather just pay the money. But
I mean, the Brewers would rather give you stuff, I'm sure, though. Like, there are definitely teams that would rather. The Orioles probably would rather give you stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would totally do it. And if they ate a lot, it's just hard to know. I mean, I would just, again, I'd say maybe 20% more than what you got for Sonny Gray at that point, then, which is a significant margin there. Anyways, it's just so hard to say what the fit would be. I just think, or what the return would be at, but I just think it's something to be worth bolstering your system for. I saw a couple of things from people like, you don't have to trade him because in the chat, because you're moving people. I get that. I'm not saying you need to do it to fit guys in, but I'm saying if the value you can get in return from him, plus that make easier at bats for other people, I think you do it. I think an underrated part of this too is Alec Burleson was excellent offensively at first base this past year, but he doesn't really get to play it much because Contreras plays it. Now, does that translate over a 162 game season? We'll have to see, but he's like a 140 WRC plus bat when he played first base in like 40 games. So again, does that translate? That's such a small sample size, but I do think it's interesting to see it. I also think, I know most of us are like, all three of us are like, is Jordan Walker going to be something? Probably not. But if you're in a lost season, it makes sense to get him out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Same with Lars Nootbaar. Like, you could flip, like, Nootbaar's a guy that sounds like they want to keep because they think there's more in the bat. If you play him every day and he has an awesome first half, you trade that guy at the deadline for a ton of stuff too. I think it just makes sense to get those guys in there every day if possible. Again, even if you have Contreras, it's not that hard to do it, especially because injuries will happen. But I think that's an extra side of it. A couple other teams want to throw out there just because I was thumbing through and be like, oh, that could be interesting. Padres, you never know. They get creative with stuff.
Dude,
He's make a ton of money.
Trade. It's coming.
Yeah. Texas, I think it could be interesting. But Philly, if they lose Kyle Schwarber,
interesting,
because Bryce Harper could DH more than he's probably moving outfield, but he could play first base or DH. Same with Wilson. They've got a big hole right there. Like right now, Fangraphs has Otto Kemp as their DH. That ain't happening. There's no way that's their guy opening day. So could they do something like that? I know a lot of people to connect them with Arenado in case they move Alec Boehm, but like, could Contreras be that bat? And imagine Contreras in Philly, like that atmosphere, that crowd, like that could be fun. But I agree with you guys. I really like as much as I like hate the Brewers at times, if someone's got to win, I don't want it to be the Cubs. And so it'd be pretty funny to see Wilson and William just go to town on the Cubs. Like, I think it'd just be great. So the Mets, I think, just make a lot of sense just because they have the assets to do it. They have the bat need there. I think there's a lot of teams that make sense. It's just where, like, Arizona, like, makes sense, but like, would Wilson want to go to Arizona? Like, I don't think so. Baltimore, maybe, but like, even I know I threw him out, but like, I'm trying to think of what's the team that he would be interested to go to that's competitive. Yeah, and the Cardinals also don't have to make the deal happen. Like, if they don't like the offer, I'm sure they'll hold him. Seattle, I do think
always throw Seattle around. I wonder if there's something there.
Yeah, and like, it also, if they trade Contreras early, it could let them extend Donovan, but I don't know if they will do that.
I mean, I don't think any of these players are getting extended at this point.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, well, if we're going to extend somebody, let's get the win extension done, please. Get it done yesterday. It's crazy that we're still waiting on that. Yeah, here's a good question. Do you think Contreras' market looks better before or after Pete Alonso signs?
I don't know if it matters.
And do you think, like, man, I think if a team misses out on Pete Alonso, they might really just be like, well, we can get Willson Contreras and get most of that for way less money. And maybe they get a little desperate because the first base market is so thin. So do you think if you're the Cardinals, do you hold and wait for Pete Alonso to set the market, or do you jump?
Well,
or
especially,
dependent?
I mean, I think it's if you get the offer that you like, then you go do it, especially because he has a no trade clause. Like, I'm not going to hold out on that and then him potentially be like, actually, I want to stay, or I'm not going to waive it. So, I mean, because Naylor's off the board, obviously got Pete Alonso there, and then you're looking at like Luis Ariz, which is a very different kind of player and not really a great bass pusher for base, Ryan O'Hearn, and then nothing else. I think it plays into it where he could be a pivot, but I don't think it's like, I think a team, like if they want Willson Contreras, they'll make the deal now. I don't know if there's guys that are so hot on Pete Alonso that they won't think about Willson Contreras until then. I'm sure they're weighing all the options. Because what you're starting to compare Contreras to is not just other first baseman. You're comparing him to the idea of adding Alex Bregman to your lineup or Eugenio Suarez to your lineup. I think that's what you're kind of looking at. Same with Pete Alonso, but those are also different kinds of financial commitments, especially when you're talking about Alonso and Bregman. You're talking about mega deals versus 2 more years guaranteed at $18 million plus a third year about $18 million. Yeah.
I think we're underselling what a great bargain that is.
And I think it opens up the potential teams he could go to, because your point, Milwaukee could be interested in him when they're not going to go after Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman, maybe Eugenio Suarez. But also he has to waive the no trade clause.
Like they went out and got Rhys Hoskins, who I think is not nearly the bat Willson Contreras is.
Yeah.
But they've been looking for that power from the right side. So maybe there's something there.
We'll see. I'll be very interested to see how that. Yeah, I mean, their offense is bad. So
they need something. The pitching is good enough though, and all around, like they made the playoffs. They should be able to make the playoffs again next year, especially in an AL Central that's going to be relatively weak again. I mean, if Detroit trades Skubal, it's wide open. Kansas City's still there, but I think Cleveland might have the best shot to win it if Skubal gets traded. So maybe they can do something like that and go add Contreras to buff up that lineup.
Yeah, I guess just do you like with Cleveland though? Like, do you see Wilson waiving his no trade clause to go to Cleveland?
I don't know. I mean, I think if he thinks he can win.
Yeah, maybe. But I feel like I don't think it's like as like cut and dry as just do I have a better chance to win? It seems like does he like love the situation? I don't know if Cleveland would be. I love it. I think Milwaukee maybe. I think New York Mets maybe. I think Seattle maybe. But it's some of this too because it's like Arenado last year. It's like, man, there are teams that weren't on his list that are true contenders, but it's like, well, it's not just win. It's the family situation, the organization, like all those type of things. Like, is it all there? Would he want his contract reworked? Like Sonny Gray got his, like that could be an element of this. Cause that sounds like that's part of the Arenado situation is their Cardinals have to rework the contract in the trade too. And so that just adds all these other elements that makes it complicated. So I think I think we threw out a lot of teams that are potential, but in reality for Wilson, it's probably like 3. We just are trying to guess what are the 3 teams he would like. Cause you might think Baltimore is not that great, but he might love it. We might think Milwaukee's awesome. He might be like, I don't want to play with my brother. Like we're just kind of predicting at this point what it goes, but, yeah, but like, I mean, this is the point with Steven Lewis here. Like when you compare Contreras' stats to other first basemen in this league, like, his numbers are up there with some of the best first basemen in the league. They're MVP candidates like a Vlad Guerrero and such. And like a lot of until this year, he's been catching behind the plate with those offensive production. Now he's at first base. He should age better. I think he's a guy that could be really interesting. So I think contenders will definitely be in the market. One other thing just on the way out, because I thought it was interesting. I'm sure we'll cover this throughout the offseason and give some more real thoughts to it. But like, do you guys think like they have any plans to extend a Herrera or a Wynn or potentially JJ going in sometime this offseason or in spring training? I mean, the way they're talking about JJ, Derek Goldman is pretty clear. They are fully expecting him to be in the opening lineup. They're not like, obviously he has to prove it in spring training, but they're not like Walker where it's like, let's see if he they're like, actually Walker, they wanted to make it happen. But I think this is more sure thing where they're like, yeah, JJ's going to be, and it sounds like the starting third baseman, maybe second baseman, but to me, Keely sounds like he's the third baseman. And I mean, Rob Cerfolio was just on MLB Network and was talking about how Weatherholt's a special player. Like this is not just your typical prospect. Like it's a legit dude. And if you're going to be a small market team that can't afford to keep guys around, this is the time to extend the guys before they start making that money.
Please.
Not JJ in center field. I know we suggested at one point, but that was before this. Like, you're not going to do it now. Like, you
Yeah, it
maybe
was
could have done it earlier this year, but like, you're not going to do that now.
And I've seen some people talk about that.
Well, I know that's why I got thrown in the chat, but
Yeah, I hope they extend somebody, but I'm done predicting extensions because the Cardinals never do it. Okay, they haven't extended anybody. Well, you can count Miles Michaelis, but they really haven't made like a true bet on your own guy extension since Paul DeYoung. They just don't do it,
woof.
and I'm not gonna predict it anymore. I can say all I want that they should have extended. They should have extended Mason Wynn last year. They definitely should extend him this year, and they're not going to. And I
extended Brendan Donovan last offseason.
Yeah, they should have extended Brendan Donovan 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You already knew what you had. Brendan Donovan hasn't changed, okay? He's still the same guy that hits a ton of doubles, plays great defense, plays all around, is a great guy in your clubhouse, gets on base. These are all things we knew about him. It makes me so mad. So I'm done. I'm not going to predict an extension. I don't believe it. Should it happen? Absolutely. They totally should extend JJ Weatherholt before he ever takes an at-bat. Do the Jackson Chourio thing. Take this super prospect that you have and extend him now. But they're not going to.
Okay, I see it. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, Andrew's got a...
No, my friend sent a super chat. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Andrew, tell us why they should trade for PCA right
They
now.
should not. But
Great.
that's tough. I lost my train of thought. What was the
You're
question?
fine.
Ooh.
Just like, is there anyone they could extend? Here, real quick, before I start thinking about that too. Oh my gosh, trade win pickup.
No.
Trade win pickup.
I love
Keon,
that.
trade for O'Neal, right? What? I would Tyler O'Neal, bring him back. I love my man. Hey, the argument, the one. Okay, there's a part of me that's a little bit like the person that made the JJ Weatherholt center field thing. We have ripped on other takes of his before. Now, I think it is a little funny that people are so mad about this one because earlier this year, people did think that could be a good idea. And then they're randomly like, that's not a good idea anymore. I'm like, don't do it. But like, there is precedent for it. We have a Jackson Merrill who went to center field, he played 1 inning of center field and like 40 innings maybe of left field in the minor leagues. Something like that. Like, he barely had any time out there. He played 45 innings, 5 games in left field, 1 game in center field for 7 innings before he debuted in the major leagues as a center fielder, and it was awesome. And so I think JJ is that kind of the athlete to do it, but I think you clearly have a spot at third base or second base. That's where I'm like, why would you mess with that right now? You could potentially do it later.
Scott is like probably like provides you more value than most of the guys who are going to end up starting on the team anyway next year.
Yeah,
So,
at least who you start at second or third. I don't think Scott's like if you clearly had other options second and third base, I don't think Scott is someone you protect center field for.
like if you trade Donovan, who you could play in the outfield, so that doesn't even matter. You could I guess Weatherholt at second or third would take away playing time from like Gorman or Sajacy, and it's like why would you do that over Scott? Like, I don't get it.
So JC's the guy who needs to pick up more gloves. Like, they need to, if he's going to be on the bench and be your
play the
utility guy,
outfield, like, that would be
yeah,
nice.
let him play some outfield, let him figure that kind of stuff out.
Well,
But
guys,
JJ's,
we have to let Sajazi start.
I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if he started, but like, I'm also like, you don't make it happen. All right, Andrew, hit it.
Lose.
The Cubs lose. All right, there you go.
There you go. Do you guys think they're going to get Bregman?
The Cubs?
Yeah, I heard they're
Wild.
in on him.
What are they going to do with
like-
Matt Shaw? Are they going to give up on him after 1 year?
Please do. I think Matt Shaw actually might be good, so please give up on him.
Yeah, what would they put Seiya in right field more then, or left field more?
I might trade him. That's what I've heard.
Okay, yeah.
Trading Seiya after the year he had is insane.
Well, he really fell off in the second half, just
Yeah,
like
that's
everybody
true.
else.
Willson Contreras had a really bad September.
Samuel. Yeah, guys, let's do a reel and say the Cardinals need to trade JJ to make playing time for Sajacy.
Dude, that's a great take. I mean, Sajazi's already had success at the MLB level, which Weatherholt's never done.
Which I'm gonna stop because I love Thomas Dude. I think he's an awesome dude, and I really do think he's like a really solid player. Could be a regular one day, but I just don't think it's like, yeah, it's okay. The one that really gets me is I saw someone the other day. He's like, you need to make room for Nathan Church. I'm like,
Oh, no.
stop. Like, no, it's okay.
We saw what happened when Church had runway. It was bad.
And
I mean,
again, I think he could be a decent fourth outfielder, but like,
Yeah.
No, new
I don't
Parsons,
know, man.
fourth outfielder.
It was really fun when Church hit that one ball like 460 feet, though, in Memphis. I was watching the game and I was like, guys, this is legit. And Kareem told me it was an outlier, but I didn't care. And I was so ready. And then he gets promoted, and then it was just horrendous in St. Louis. It was so sad.
Yeah. Oh well, these things happen. But you know what? They acquired Zach Kent today, so maybe he is going to be as good as Jeff Kent. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he's he's that ace they've been looking for.
Maybe. All right. Last thing. I know we go off the rails randomness at the end, but I want to know what you guys think. The committee, is it the commissioners? I forget which committee. There's like 5 Hall of Fame committees that rotate between voting, but the committee this time, Bonds and Clemens are on it.
Oh,
I think Barry Bonds should be a Hall of Famer,
so
and I
do
think
I.
Roger Clemens should be. Do you guys think do you think the PD guys should be, like, not all PDs, but do you think like the A-Rods and Bonds should be? And
I think Bonds should be, but not A-Rod, because A-Rod was
whoa.
Because A-Rod, like, Bonds didn't break any rules. A-Rod did.
Wait, Bonds.
I think that's a distinction.
Well, okay, so Bonds didn't get caught breaking rules, is what you're saying.
But
'Cause
that
if
wasn't
you-
a rule, was it?
Yeah, they would still ban substances. Yeah, absolutely.
No, but like during the steroid era, it was fine. Was it?
I think they're just kind of getting away with it.
Yeah, I think they just like weren't testing. I think they like MLB knew what was happening, but like I don't think you've
Yeah,
ever
they
been
just,
allowed
like,
to use.
I don't know.
My
Like,
question
I think
is-
there has to be a line drawn somewhere, because I think if you've ever had like a PED suspension, then you probably shouldn't. I know like David Ortiz had one, but like I don't really know if that was even like legit.
I think you could clearly make. I mean, you could like, it's just a part of their history. Like, put it on their plaque. Like, you tell the story. You say this guy you used, and like when it comes to Barry Bonds and when it comes to like A-Rod, like you could clearly see these guys are Hall of Fame players before the roids. Like, clearly they got to another
but
level.
that feels like too much projection to me.
I think the steroid era guys should be
I
in,
don't
but
know.
not like anyone after that. Like once they started testing and being strict about it, I don't.
Or
think
if when Fernando Tatis Jr. is eligible someday, are you going to say no because of the?
I'm not. He's also not even had that great of a career thus far.
Whoa, he's been great. What?
Like you look at his numbers, like it's projectable to the Hall of Fame, but like if he retired today, he's not a Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, because he's like 25.
Well, yeah,
years-
today, but he's on track to be one.
Yeah.
Not like an inner circle guy though, and I feel like you have to be like an inner circle guy for me to even consider it.
Maybe, but I don't think. Well, again, this is where I'll get subjective. Where I just think you let them all. If they have Hall of Fame numbers, you let them in. Like, because also,
Like,
how
if you
many
look at
guys is this
Tatis,
surely
like,
going to?
his numbers after the suspension and his numbers before the suspension are a little bit different. You can kind of tell that there's like.
That's true, but he's regained some of the stuff defensively too, where he's playing.
He also had like serious injuries though,
defense.
and still at 26 years old, he's worth almost 30 WAR. Like this is a guy that we're definitely going to be talking about.
Just came off a 6 WAR season.
Yeah, he's elite.
So I think you put him in, and I just there's a really good Foolish Baseball video he just did on the guys who are Hall of Fame candidates for that committee plus just in general this year. And I only watched the last part of it because he said I want to go on a rant about this last thing, and it was really interesting. He basically made the point that the commissioner's office basically everyone keeps moving the steroid guys to someone else to figure out. Where everyone says, I'm not going to be the one to vote him in. And now it's this committees and this writers group and this, all that. And it's like, MLB just needs to take a stance on it and do something with it. And I mean, and then also like, there's a guy like Carlos Beltran where it's like the cheating scandal. Does that affect anything for him? Like, I don't think it should.
I think.
Yeah, I think it has, but like, is that going to keep him out? I think this year he needs to be a Hall of Famer. But like, I think Bonds needs to get in. I just think it's dumb that he's not in there. I understand that you split hairs and it's hard to tell with guys what they would have been without the roids, but like clearly Bonds is one of the best players of all time. Can't tell a story of the game without him. Like it makes this a controversy all the time too. Like, I think in the moment there's people who are super upset about it, but then like give it a few years and no one's gonna like. People will say like, yeah, he used roids and it's annoying, but it's not gonna be some debate every year. It's like, oh, the Hall of Fame's so dumb now because they let those steroid guys in. It's like whatever, it's fine.
I think I don't know. I think it's tough. The Hall of Fame, I don't know. I think if you pulled fans like 75% or whatever it is to get like in, I think it's 75%. Bonds would probably get in.
Do you think?
I picked the Hall of Fame.
But
do you think the fact that
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT right now? I'm gonna see what it thinks.
Has like made amends in so many ways? Do you think that matters? Counts for anything? That A-Rod has like made amends in the ways he has? Absolutely. What like he wasn't welcome around baseball right after he retired, and now you see him calling all sorts of games. He goes on all
he's
sorts.
kind of bad at it, and he's like not very good.
He's fine, but like I think he's definitely worked on his image a lot. since like those last days with the Yankees where things were kind of crazy and the biogenesis and all that. Like,
I mean, didn't he get popped twice?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel weird putting him in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was like almost 40 years old chasing that 700th home run. And it was like, you could tell he was going to do whatever it took to get there. But also, it's like, I think it does matter that he's done so much work to like re-ingratiate himself. I don't know. I think that matters. I think that's a big reason Pete Rose never got in. Because Pete Rose
is going to be eligible the year Pujols and Yachty are, which makes me scared for Yachty.
But Pete Rose never did anything to re-ingratiate himself with baseball.
Yeah. A couple things real quick. ChatGPT says Barry Bonds to be a Hall of Famer. So case closed.
Because Barry Bonds is the best baseball player of all time.
Hey, the 1999, which is what they think is like it's most commonly said, like this is when Bonds started roiding or like started affecting him. 3 MVP. This is before this. 3 MVPs, 8 Gold Gloves, 8 All-Stars, 445 home runs, and 460 stolen bases, and he had a career war in the mid '80s already.
Yeah, he was totally.
So he was.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think he's like a top 20 player of all time. But like, if you look at his aging curve,
top 10.
If you look at his aging curve,
is like top 5. He's inner circle.
You look at.
I'm going to say top 10 just because the roids.
4 straight MVPs like that. If you're aging normally. Like, that's just not possible. Well, you look at the ages that he won.
Yeah, but Barry Bonds would have won other MVPs if other guys weren't taking steroids before that. Like,
also, no one else has won more than 3 MVPs.
Sosa, he was competing with those guys early on. Like, that's so unfair.
Yeah. Otani's at 3 MVPs right now, right?
4.
Okay, so Otani's not the only other guy who has more than 3 MVPs other than Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think he's the greatest baseball player of all time. I think Otani will pass him. But I think you could say he's at least top 10. Like, I will not accept an argument that he's less than top 10.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I feel good saying top 20. I don't know if
I think top 10, even if you're like roids are a problem and it's penalizes someone.
OBP seasons.
What?
Yeah, it's insane.
The numbers.
Yeah, like, when he was juicing because they just didn't want to pitch to him.
Yeah, that's insane though. The level of fear Barry Bonds inspired in other teams, it's the most insane. Like, his stats break everything about baseball.
Yeah, but also other guys have roided too, like Fernando Tatis. Like, I'm not saying, but like this dude, like it was an otherworldly on the roids. Like, I think there was a year where he swung and missed at less pitches than he hit for extra bases. Which hand-eye coordination, like, that's not steroids. Okay, that's insane.
Here. Like, if you just like take a look at Barry Bonds' numbers, they always shock me. I mean, it's just nuts, man. 10,000, almost 10,000 at bats with an OPS of 1.051. OPS plus per career of 182. 82% above, even in his last year in the leagues at 42 years old.
Because he was able to recover.
3.4 WAR with a 480 on base. The only reason Barry Bonds wasn't playing in 2015 was because the league didn't want him anymore. That's insane to think about. Like, he could have played forever. He had the best eye probably of all time. I mean,
I bet he could still hit today. Like, not like that good. Like, I'm not saying he's like a legit big leaguer, but I bet
the Savannah Banana.
That's true.
I mean, there are things you never lose though. Like, I'm sure well after he retired, Ted Williams still had a great eye. You know what I mean? I'm sure he still had great bat to ball. And I bet Barry Bonds could have done stuff till he was 46, 47 years old, which just nobody can do. That's unbelievable.
Bro has 164.4 career F4.
Yeah, and 162.8 B.
Yeah, Kareem, I'm taking prime Barry Bonds over Shohei too because Barry Bonds was on steroids.
Dude, Barry Bonds almost finished with 2,000 ribby. He finished with 700 intentional walks, 688. That's a Cy Young level unbreakable record.
Yeah. The thing that
Shohei has never lost an elimination game in his career.
Who?
Whatever. Shohei.
Whatever. I think the thing that will be tough the thing that we just can't wrap our minds around yet with Otani is clearly he's not going to catch up to these all-time greats when it comes to home runs and stuff. But like, he's going to have like I don't know how many strikeouts, but he's going to have like a bunch of wins and strikeouts and all this stuff when the other guys have 0. Like that's I mean, I know they'll have defense, but like that's the part that's going to be hard to wrap our minds around.
How many career wins do you think Otani finishes with?
Oh, what is he at now?
I think he's at like 30. He doesn't have a lot.
Yeah,
maybe 50, but that's probably pretty high.
No, he has.
People overestimate how much.
He has 39. He's gonna have 50. He'll get to 50 next year.
Oh, you said 30. I thought you said 30. He was at
still 39. Wins
That's a
aren't
50 next year. If he pitches a full season for the Dodgers, he'll get 11 wins next year.
That's the thing is I feel like they're gonna not throw him the tradition. I mean, I think he's probably more low 20 starts a year guy at best, just to protect his
He's
arm.
only pitched 528 innings in his career. How many more innings? You think he pitches another 250 innings in his career?
Oh, yeah.
You think the Dodgers let it? Like I wouldn't let him pitch.
Yeah, why would you not?
Because he's already an MVP. I'm not risking it. I'm not letting him.
That's why he's an MVP is because of those innings.
No, that's not true at all.
If he didn't have those innings, he probably would only just have like one, maybe two.
Well, both two that he didn't pitch during. Like, absolutely.
Well, no, he only, like, 2024 he would have had, and then 2023 he probably still would have had.
This is the real question. When does Liam Doyle pass Nolan Ryan in strikeouts?
That's insane to think about.
Dakota Hudson over Otani. Who's Cards in 28? You're my favorite now.
I mean, look. Otani would have won this year's MVP whether he pitched or not. The pitching didn't matter at all.
Yeah, I guess.
What
this
year. He threw 47 innings this year. I don't think that
it would have been closer. It would have been a lot closer with Juan Soto and Schwarber.
I mean, even the other years he pitched, like, he was good. I don't think it would have been close at all this year. He was the best hitter in the National League. He won it fair and square this year as a DH. If I'm the Dodgers, he's already an MVP as a DH. I'm not risking him on the mound.
Have you seen his stuff?
Yeah, it's great stuff. But I'm not. They also have 5 other aces. They don't need it. The upgrade from Otani to one of their other aces is not that massive. It's not worth it. And they're going to make the playoffs no matter what anyway. So maybe it's just better to preserve Otani.
Yeah, and just let him
go a little bit and use him as a 3 or 4 inning like shutdown guy in the playoffs. That's probably more effective anyway. Swiss Army knife.
I'm sure there's some line in his contract that's like, if I'm healthy, I'm pitching. There's probably something like that in there. I can't imagine.
I mean, with how much money he makes them, like, I don't think they're gonna like do something where they force him not to do something if he's healthy.
Sure.
But I think they'll strongly encourage it. And I think at the very least they'll load manage him.
I think
I think they figured something out. Like the way they handled their rotation this past year, I think it's something a lot of baseball. I mean, first of all, baseball will be hard to learn from because they have so many arms.
Yeah, you can't learn from it.
Actually, the Cardinals kind of did this year. They would give guys a little bit of breaks or push back their starts. Like, again, I don't think the reason they didn't have injuries is fully because of how they handled it. But I don't know. It's hard for me to predict what Otani will do pitching because it's pitching too. It's like his elbow could give out literally any pitch. You just never know. And so that's where it's hard to be like, oh, he's going to throw 500 more innings. Where it's like, I don't know. He could throw one pitch in camp and he's done. So, and never pitch again.
I'd be surprised to see him hit 800 career innings even.
Oh, there's 800 home runs.
No. Yeah, no, that's not. I think I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I think I'd be surprised.
How many innings does he have right now?
528.
He's going to stop pitching in the next like 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, look, how many Andrew, he's never pitched more than 140 innings or 166 innings in a year. He did that once. He's only pitched more than 132 innings once. Like,
well, you said you'd be surprised.
If he pitched three more full seasons like he did with the Angels, then he's at 800. He only has to do that twice.
I'd be surprised to see him get to 800 is what I'm saying. I'd be surprised.
If he repeats his 2021 and 2022 seasons in the next 2 years, then he's done. Like, he's done.
Yeah, well, there's this. Not pitching in 27. But I think he'll get I think he'll get to 300. I'd probably be surprised if he doesn't hit 800. I think 1,000's the number where I'd be like, I'd be surprised.
I definitely don't think he's getting to 1,000.
But
I just don't see why they let him pitch. You've got a DH who's going to be potentially the best DH in the National League or top 2.
The best DH ever, probably.
For the next, okay, no, Aaron Judge exists, but he's going to be the best.
Aaron Judge is not a DH.
Okay, fine. When they've used him as a DH, but he's going to be the best DH in the National League for the next 10 years. I wouldn't touch him. I wouldn't let him touch the mound. I would just say, you're in my lineup every day. You're going to hit 50 home runs a year. You're going to hit 1.05 every year. It's going to be amazing. That's what I would do.
I don't think he's had a pitching injury that's kept him out of the batter's box in his career.
That's true. But even still, it's just like, why would you risk it? Why would you risk it for 75 or 100 innings, which, again, he's only done 3 times in 8 years? Why would you risk it when you've got all these other arms that you've spent a ton of money on?
Because that's what he does.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think ultimately you got to keep him healthy though. I think you got to load manage him.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to not load manage him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, on the way out, real quick, let's just give quick hitter thoughts, and we've gone long, so we'll wrap it up. But Cardinals 28 made me laugh too much in this one not to answer this. Real talk, you guys think Michaelis will sign with anyone? I'll say,
yeah. I mean, in the NPB, Why not?
I think so.
You didn't specify that it has to be in America.
What do you think it'll be for
My
like
kids are going to be so disappointed in me for not making a 6-7 joke.
What?
$6 or $7 million? I don't know.
He's going to sign. He's got to play somewhere. There's no way he doesn't. There's too many teams that need it.
No. I think. Well, I saw someone on Twitter throw out the Rockies. That would be really fun. Maybe all-time record for home runs given up in a season.
Could be so bad.
And then
Michael sees a ring.
doesn't he have a Japan series ring? Didn't he?
He's
win
married. He's got a ring.
Yeah.
But
You could. I mean, we could.
I would like to see him go back to Asia. I heard Art Fetty is an NPB free agent target, so they could go play together in Japan.
But like Miles Michaelis absolutely could pitch for the White Sox or like any bad team that needs to cover innings. I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah.
But like,
Even
why
if
don't
he-
yeah.
Get ready to learn Korean again.
Yeah, KBO. I
No,
thought he was.
He was in Japan.
Fetty's a KBO guy.
Close.
Yeah,
I still
Eddie's
think it's funny. Who I don't think has cards in 28. Have you been to our chat before? I feel like I don't reckon. I feel like
For
you're new.
elite takes.
This is
elite
fun.
takes today.
It's been fun. I mean, our whole chat's fun. I noticed a new name here where it's like this has been good. But so anyways, I do think even if he doesn't sign before camp, I mean, you always get those guys who randomly sign in like April, May, or June to fill some spots. I think he'll find a job. Could be KBO, could be MPB.
I mean, Dallas Keuchel got to pitch like 2 years ago, so Miles Michaelis is going to get
Michaelis will find a job. I mean, he was bad, but like he's like just to take innings, he can do it.
I mean, he said in foul territory that he wants to finish his career in Japan. So,
Well, eventually, I think Miles sees himself having at least 1 or 2 more seasons here before he has to go back to Japan and finish his career.
Yeah.
He might pitch till he's 50 though.
okay.
He's going to be healthy. He's never hurt.
Well, he was hurt at one point. Remember?
True. That's wild to think about because he's made basically every start the last 3 years. When you'd like him to maybe miss a couple of starts.
Also, Cars 20 said he was Graham until I got my 2026 World Series.
Didn't Michaelis have the most?
Yes,
starts in
Kareem.
baseball a couple years ago because he threw at Ian Happ and got tossed and then started again like a day later.
Oh,
Yeah, and then they appealed the suspension.
Yeah, so he got to pitch again because he threw like 4 pitches
Yeah.
and then
no joke. They could make Michaelis their third highest paid player by not paying him much at all. That's how bad payroll's going to be next year.
Nothing.
Anyways, hey, this has been super fun. Good chat with you boys as always. Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer. Willson Contreras is going to get a Hall. We love Brendan Donovan. I hope you keep him. Probably be a Hall. Winter meetings next week. We'll be on Sunday. That's first day of the winter meeting, so it might be some action. Otherwise, we'll be kind of reacting to what's going on. As always, really appreciate your support on the podcast. Remember, go check out 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. Make sure you check out True North Gloves. Like and subscribe. It really helps channel a ton. We know many of you check in. You aren't subscribed already, just checking out the channel first time. Got a lot of fun content coming this off season, as well as this charity stream with Brendan Donovan later this month. Birds on the Farm with Kareem, who's been in the chat. We've got some awesome episodes of that all off season. Just did a really fun video with Sandy. Obviously, Andrew always does the awesome editing on that stuff, but on Brendan Donovan trade destinations, a lot of content coming out from Dealing the Cards. So check us out. We appreciate your support as always. Like and subscribe, rate and review on audio. We'll see you next time.
thanks
Thanks,
Miles.
Wilson.
Thanks, Mom.